Oh, thank you for coming in today. This is one of those great opportunities where I can help students advance their careers by giving them a little tool, and this tool is called a resume. So the goal of the resume is really to pick enough interest in the employer to get them enthused about you and ask you to come in for that interview. We're all trying to get that interview from the resumes that we generate. And what I'd like to do is to help you get the job you want. And the first step in doing that is going to be to update your resume. A lot of students come in and we might go through 2 or 3 passes before you're really comfortable. So I think you're going to be really happy at the end when we get this thing tuned up. So what is this thing we're going to tune up? What is a resume? A resume is symbolically nothing more than a paper representation of yourself. Now, when we look at the fact that most decision makers only take 47 seconds to review a resume, you're going to have that impact right away, because they're not going to spend minutes or anything close to an hour reviewing your information. You also have to recognize that a resume is usually in a pile of resumes, so you're competing for the attention of that decision maker. So as we move into this resume format that we're going to be reviewing today, I'd like you to keep a number of points in mind. The first purpose of a resume then is to get to the next stage in the recruiting process. You don't have to worry about anything beyond that. It's just to pick the employer's interest and give them enough nudge to ask you in for that job interview. So you don't go from birth forward with detail. You want to focus on what will pick the interest of that decision maker. Resume is also a paper representation of yourself. Now, what does that really mean? That means that if it's sloppy, if it's disorganized, if it's hard to read, that really reflects on you as an individual. Maybe personal characteristics are coming out of that resume just in the way it's laid out or organized. We're also talking about it being a transmittal document. What does that mean? A transmittal document means that your resume, if it's successfully pursuing the course leading to that job offer, is going to be submitted, emailed, attached to letters, whatever it might be, and so it's got to be clear and crisp and easily transferred in digital format. So let's go on to looking at some of the main options we have when we're designing a resume. Well, number one, we usually compare ourselves to either a skill-based resume or an experience-based resume. Now, when we're looking at these, a skill-based resume really looks at just a list of the skills that you might bring to the job. And those include, in many lists, are problem-solving skills, great team player, whatever it might be. But they look like a laundry list of characteristics almost from a Boy Scout manual or a Superman manual, and saying able to leap tall buildings with a single bound, plays well with others, those types of things. There are many different ways of botching those resumes when you're using it skill-based. Now, if we contrast the differences between these two types of resumes, number one, skill-based resume usually sells general capabilities, not really those work-based experiences that you've acquired that are really going to leverage you from another candidate. They're also many times emphasizing education, course listings, or how you might have the potential to do certain things. And many times they feel fluffed up. You read the lines on a skill-based resume, and it just seems like it's overkill beyond that. So there's also this implied characteristic of a skill-based resume, and that is, to the decision maker, it appears that you don't really have any good on-the-job experiences that can be leveraged into their employment opportunity, and you're really just trying to acquire assumed experience levels. Now, let's get rid of that one and focus on what I think the KSU students really excel at, and that's putting together an experience-based resume. One, it champions your contributions in the workplace setting. It talks about what you've already done to add value to an employer's work environment. It also emphasizes that you've been out there in the real world, that you've gotten up, you've gotten dressed, you've kept a regular schedule, you've worked with others, you've contributed in a workplace setting that's rewarded you with a paycheck. And it also, a good
experience-based resume is going to be talking and emphasizing the outcomes, the performance outcomes that you've impacted in those work settings for those various prior employers. It also looks at identifying the building blocks of your experience, where you've come from, where you're going as a contributor in a workplace environment. And it's action-based. There's nothing better than talking about what you've done in the past to contribute to an employer.